Rotten Tomatoes has The Godfather, IMDb has The Shawshank Redemption. Both of those websites have large American movies as their best movie of all time. Movies referenced all over pop culture that are extremely recognizable. The type of movie you would expect to be called the greatest ever. But Letterboxd is a little bit different. Instead, it has a black and white samurai movie from 1962 that is heavy on exposition. It's not even director Masaaki Kabashi's most well-known film. At best, it's fourth and maybe even fifth. I'm talking about Harakiri. It loomed over me for a year, but on the anniversary of me joining Letterboxd, I finally decided to watch it. And it's safe to say, I was not disappointed by what Letterboxd considers the best movie ever. If you have any interest in watching this whatsoever, go do it before returning to this video. The movie cleverly reveals layers as it goes, and watching it unspoiled would be best. In the movie, Hanshiro calls out the samurai house of Iyo for the facade of honor they pretend to have. The house leaders pushed Hanashiro's son-in-law, Motomo, to commit seppuku, a ritualistic form of suicide, after refusing his request for a delay. Motomo asked for a delay to get his estate in order and return home to his sick wife and child. The house refused to help him and forced him to go through with the suicide because they didn't want to give any more handouts. It's a movie about class, honor, society, and familial love. People can have honor, morals. They can be pure in love. But a group at large has no morals. There is a facade that institutions and societies have groupthink, and that groupthink represents the best interests of everyone. But it becomes clearer every day that it's just untrue. The original intention may have been a deconstruction of the samurai code in old Japan, but I found the movie to be extremely applicable to the world I'm living in now. Companies, religious institutions, and our government claim to have honor, but lack any semblance of a backbone, spread hate, and act as elite groups completely corrupted. I have lost faith in groups of most kinds at this point, and Harakiri spoke deeply to that part of me. Our current president is tearing the lives of millions apart, stoking the flames of hate, violence, and war, similar to the feudal system in Japan, ruining the lives of the people who live there. As I was watching this, I couldn't help but compare the House of Iyo to the current democratic leadership. Groups that paint the picture of moral responsibility and superiority, but never follow through. I've grown so tired of the Democrat leadership at the moment. One example is Cory Booker and his publicity stunt of a filibuster. First off, he wasn't actually going against any piece of legislation. He wasn't opposing any of the awful things President Trump has done. He had 25 hours to talk and failed to mention the student journalists who were wrongfully taken into custody for criticizing Israel. Nor did he mention the genocide at all, because he's also one of the people who supports it. He positioned himself as the good guy in the public eye though, not to do actual good, but instead to promote his book that was coming out. That's why he did the so-called filibuster. That's the exact behavior Hanshiro called out in the movie. Saying you're honorable doesn't make you a good person. You actually have to follow through and do the decent things. This movie preaches basic human decency overall, over tradition, appearances, and systems. Teaches you to have a deep compassion for every individual person, to love the people close to you, and extend olive branches to those you don't. That's actually honorable. I aspire to be more like that, and the world should too. On top of the themes, this movie is perfectly executed on the technical front. Every shot is gorgeous, the composition is godlike, perfectly lit, acted, and directed. I was hooked within the first 5 minutes and never took my eyes off the screen, not even for half of a second. The action was stunningly choreographed towards the end. Realistic, with Hanshiro struggling through every assault. He isn't tearing down the other samurai, instead scraping by. Every hit an opponent gets hurts and affects him for the rest of the fight. He is really struggling through the fighting. I was reacting to this in ways I've never reacted to any other movie. Gasping and fist pumping, similar to some of my favorite wrestling matches ever. Electric filmmaking that had the emotion and story behind it, making me even more invested. Another thought is just how devastating this movie is, but not in the way it could have been. It's about ritualistic suicide. It could have veered into a gross territory glamorizing the suicide, but it treated everyone taking their own life with the weight that it should be. Harakiri isn't the most violent movie ever, not the bloodiest, but it's hard to stomach such a brutal display of human emotion in these moments. I deeply admire this movie for balancing those emotions. Before Letterboxd, I would rate movies on a scale of 1 to 100. It was the primary way I rated and logged things in my own Google Doc. I have half moved away from it. I still do it, but I focus on the star ratings more. For a while, I never gave out 100s. Babylon broke that seal on its third rewatch, and several have followed on rewatches, but this is the first movie I gave an 100 to on the first watch. I'm in awe at just how great this movie is. I've talked about why I loved Harakiri, but I want to explore why I think Letterboxd loves this movie enough to make it the best rated one on the platform. First off, I think the lower profile pre-Letterboxd definitely helps this movie. In no way is it an unknown movie, but most people haven't seen it, and less opinions allows for a movie to get a higher score. On Letterboxd, most people have watched The Godfather, millions, allowing for more dissenting opinions to form and show themselves. The only people watching Harakiri are the people who would probably like it. Casual movie watchers aren't logging the black and white Japanese movie. That's why it has pushed itself onto the top of the list, and it's just really good. I hope you liked the video. Subscribing would be greatly appreciated. I did things a little bit differently and talked about this movie in relation to the current world, talked about some politics in this video for the first time properly. I spent time around some brilliant, well-articulated people that know what they are talking about, and it has made me feel underqualified to talk on these topics, but I hope I was able to explain my position pretty well. Thanks for watching the video.